Hi friends, it's Michelle. Welcome back to my channel. This is kind of part 2 of the Valentine heart project, except this time I'm going to show you, if you're not someone who's a polymer clay person, and this is just a project you want to do for fun, and you don't have polymer clay scrap hanging around like polymer people like myself do, then here is how you would go about the same process I did in yesterday's video, except this time you're going to do it with clean clay. So you can buy these SCULPEY packages, or you can buy polymer clay from a store brand, which is fine. I would say if you're buying it, just sort of buy the same brand, because even though most of them cook at the same temperature, if you accidentally bought 3 that bake at one temperature and 1 that doesn't, you could have a problem. So if you don't have any polymer clay, then just stick to one brand. That would be my only recommendation. So I have, here's a pink, and this is I think this is like a little bit of a pearlescent pink. So there's going to be a little bit of sheen. And then these are some bigger chunks that I had in my kit, but you could just, start the way I'm starting with clean clay. I would recommend if you're buying 4 or 5 pieces, bricks of clay, that you do something, that you do maybe like some Valentine's Day colors or the theme that, the palette you want to do. And always make sure that you have some light and you have some dark. And I always add black and white to everything I do, because just like in any other part of art, that white will bring out the colors so much better. So I'm going to also add some white. So the way that I would recommend working if you're doing this project just with fresh clay is I would break off different amounts of clay. You can use a knife, a blade, whatever you have. And you're going to condition each chunk because they haven't been conditioned. Unlike the scrap that's already been conditioned, this has not been conditioned. So conditioning is just kneading it until it's malleable and has been, all the bubbles and the polymers have been activated, and then each one just needs to be conditioned. And although I have lots of tips and tricks in my other videos, I will just remind you that you should always condition your lightest colors first, because some colors will come off in your hands. And like, let's say you did black before you did white, you're going to end up with gray clay. So if you want to keep your colors nice and clean, you want to condition each color separately and do it light to dark. I did it a little bit out of order, but since this is a marbled project, I'm not too worried about it. If you want more tips and tricks on how to condition your clay or how to prepare your polymer clay, I will link the video below. Now, like with a light color like white or a dark color like black, I'm going to use the least amount of that in my project. Those are just sort of enhancers. They bring out the other colors. They're not going to be my base colors. And there really isn't a tried and true way of doing this when you're not... With scrap, it's kind of fun because you don't think about it. You're just grabbing scrap and rolling it into a ball, and what comes out, and it's a surprise. This is a little bit more intentional, so sometimes it can feel a little bit more of a pressure. So I think what I want to do is I'm going to make the bulk of this heart pink. And then I want to add a little bit of purple, a little bit of white, and now I need a darker color to go with that to bring that all out. So do I want it to be the hot pink or do I want it to be black? I think I'm going to do the hot pink first. So now all I'm going to do is roll them in a ball and then roll them into a log. I don't know, about the width of my 4 fingers. And obviously, because the other colors I've chosen less amount for, they're going to be a much thinner roll. So now I have 4 colors. I'm going to put 2 on one side and 1 on the other, and then I'm just going to twist them, just like this. And I'm going to keep twisting until they're all together. Oops, like that. And then I'm going to roll them into a coil, like this, and then I'm going to roll it into a ball. Now, I could flatten this and roll this out just as it is now, and it would sort of end up with like these big color blocks, which is fine if that's what you want to do. But I'm going to show you that if I just roll it into a log one more time, maybe make it a little bit longer this time, like this, and I bend it in half and I twist it, that is going to make some pretty cool layers and lines. And now I can roll this in a ball. Now, because it's important that the thickness is even, one of the little hacks that I have found over time is to use one of these little acrylic blocks that you use for rubber stamping. If you don't have one, don't worry about it. You can just use a traditional roller. But I'm going to use this just so that you can see how it really presses it down evenly. And you can always finish it off with a roller. So I do the same thing I did in the other video. I look at my marble and I try to find the most interesting area that I like. There is no wrong or right answer here. It's what you like. And I like that. So I'm going to place that down as the top. I'm going to center this, and then I'm going to press and just evenly press. And what you'll see is that you get a really nice even thickness, and then you don't have to worry about rolling it. Now you can see that I have the pink and the purple and the light pink. And then you can see these really thin lines of white. One's right here against the, and I love that little contrast bit. That's the kind that like gets me excited. There's not as much interest on the back side. So then I'll take my cookie cutter and I'll position it in the way that I think is the most interesting. And again, there is no wrong or right. This is the creative part. This is the part that I think is the fun part, is finding the bits and pieces that make it sing for you. I love how on this little edge here, they're closer together and then it's more color blocked. The back isn't so exciting, but it's okay because that's the back. So now I have this little bit here that already has purples and pinks, and I am going to roll that and put it aside. Now this time I'm going to experiment with having some hot pink and some black. Now black is very strong, so I'm going to make just a little bit of black. Where the white is harder to see in small doses, the black just really jumps out. So you really need to be careful with black. And then I'm going to decide what color would I like with it. Would I like a light pink? Would I like a purple? Or would I like this pink that has the sheen? I think I'm going to go with this pink that has the sheen. Okay, I'm going to roll that out. And I only have 3 colors with this. I'm going to twist it. The advantage of using fresh clay is it's so much softer and easier to use, and you can really control what colors are in the project. But I love using scrap too because you really use it up for something interesting. Now it doesn't look like there's all that much going on here, but then that's when we twist and we start getting those variations throughout. And you can decide if it needs another twist once you roll your ball. I still feel like there's too much of this pink. So this is where I know my proportions probably were a little bit off, like there was just too much pink there. So in that case, I can choose to add something else. So what will I add to it? I think I need to add a little white. I think the white will balance it off. So I'm just going to press the white against this. And then I'm going to put it together like that, roll it into a ball, and then again I'm going to twist. And now I'm starting to get all of those different layers that I had in the other piece. Okay, so now I'm going to press this out. And as you can see, that black just really stands out. That's why I say you have to use it conservatively. Okay, so I'm going to take a heart, and I'm going to try to figure out what I like the best. So now I have this heart and that heart, and I have two balls that have different colors in them. I could put this together, or I could hold off. So I'm going to hold off just a little bit. This time I'm going to make purple my predominant color. I'm going to have the hot pink be the contrast color that kind of jumps out. And I think I'm going to add white so that there is a low contrast. Let's make these equal. See what happens. That's the other fun part. It's all about experimenting. Oh, do you see how it got pinkish? Because the hot pink is on my hand. That's what I mean by the color can transfer. Usually I would be upset about that, but because we're doing marbling, it's not going to matter too much. All right, so now I have 3 equal parts, and I'm just going to twist them. Roll it. As you can see, it's still very color blocky, so I'm going to do it one more time because I want these to not be in big color blocks. I want the actual marbleization. And as I twist, it's going to become more and more marble. You know what? I think I'm going to do it one more time. Only because I want very thin marbleization on this. So I want to give myself an opportunity to get some more lines in there. And the more you twist, the more lines you'll get. It's always a balance because just as in mixing paint, you don't want to overmix anything because you can't unmix it after. And you don't want it to turn into like a muddy mess. So you have to just know when enough is enough. Now see, I think that made a big difference because look at how many more lines I have. And I'm going to use that as my focal point. Pretty cool. Reminds me of candy a little bit. Ooh, I like the striping on this side. So I'm going to, I think I'm going to like this heart a lot. It's going to be hard for me to decide. And what I would choose might not be what you would choose. You might choose a different orientation for it. But I think I like all the stripes going in one direction. I think that's super interesting. So now I have 3 very different hearts, but they're all similar because they're using similar colors. So now what I can do, which is fun, is I can take these 3 hearts, I can make 3 logs and then twist them all together. Let's see what happens now. All the same colors are in it, but there's a different variation of ratios and how mixed they are, and I think it's going to make a very interesting outcome. And in this case, I will start, ooh, look at that. I'm going to start by pressing, and then I'll finish rolling, only because there's more clay here. And I want this to be as big as possible so I can get a couple hearts out of it. This is one side. Look at all this. This reminds me of like rock, like a geode. And this is where like a little particle, you know, like a little bit like that got stuck in it. So then I have to decide which side I like better. I really like that, so I want to cut the heart out of that first. Look at this. I have it, like the top is a darker, and then this is lighter, and then there's this like white space. I like that. I kind of nicked the corner of that heart. Ooh, I didn't get a full heart. So this is where I'm going to take the chance, and I'm going to just put it together into a ball and re-roll it. I'm not going to twist it again because I feel like there's already so many twists in there, and I don't want to overmix it. It's starting to get on the verge of where I could overmix it. And look at this, now the dark parts where there was that little bit of black are really coming out. So interesting. It does remind me of those acrylic pours. I know that's a weird poke. Most people would be like, why did she do that? I just love how this piece looks almost like it's a layered piece of paper on top. We're really pushing it now with the over mixing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll this into a log. And just because I feel like we're on the border of over mixing, I'm going to add a little bit of white to it. And I'm going to do that just to break up the black and to add some big color sections into it. I'm just twisting. Coiling and rolling. And by adding some of that white in there, I feel like I've just given it some negative space. And it's just not overmixed now. I find this so relaxing and fun because really, how can you screw it up? You just keep experimenting and playing, and then you find the part of the heart that you really like. And here we go. We have all of these hearts that are similar but different. I'll put them in the oven with some other ones that I made, and I'll be back. So here are all the hearts I've made using both techniques, the scrap technique and the planned technique. And I hope you like them. They are awesome as little decorations or to give out to your friends. If you have tiny cutters, you can cut little tiny hearts out and then put them in jars that are very, very sweet. You could wrap them
the covers with ribbon and put a little tag on them. Great little Valentine's Day gifts. Or you can put holes in them and make them into ornaments for your very own Valentine's Day tree. I hope you enjoyed these 2 videos, and I hope I'll see you again on this channel. Take care and spread some love and kindness. Bye.